No, I rely on
in
it.
case I say.
But I can't keep up with all the talking. I can't ride as
I'm
fast.
sorry.
No, this time.
Oh,
No,
once the meeting starts, then when y'all were talking.
No, when more than one person's talking at a time, I can't make two scales out of it.
New rule for 2024. One at a time. New rule. I know.
Chris, are you recording? Okay, we're good.
Good evening. We'll call the meeting February 7th, 2024. Decatur County Zoning Board of Zoning Appeals. To point out, there are Title VI forms in the back of the room if anyone wants to complete the anonymous survey. Items we'll do this evening is the approval of the minutes. Have all board members that are here had a chance to review?
Yes.
And we all agree that they are correct as written?
Motion that we pass.
Will you guys sign it?
Any second?
Second.
Wherever you.
All in favor?
Yes,
I do.
just somebody sign it, yeah.
Okay, minutes have been approved. Now we'll look at our one addition for this evening is BZA 2024-1. John, and I apologize, I'm not sure how to pronounce Marcelletti. I did pretty good. Marcelletti for Milestone LTD is requesting a variance from the maximum height allowed of 60 foot to 305 feet for a communication tower and a variance from the required side setback of 60 feet to a setback of approximately 18 foot on the west side. This request falls under Decatur County Ordinance number 12 and 13. Property is currently owned by the Milestone LTD and is located at 4814 West Old State Road 46, Greensburg and Clay Township. So, Mr. Marcelletti, would you like to come forward and bring us information on that?
Yeah, so basically, TowerCom is the tower owner, and they're looking to build this tower on behalf of Verizon Wireless. They're looking at building, as you mentioned, a 305-foot overall tower. Verizon's planning on installing their antennas at 290 feet. There are no towers within 3 miles, so the area is in need of cell service. We are asking for that 60-foot setback on the western property line. We're not asking for an elimination, just a reduction in your setbacks, mainly due to the fact that the northern part of this property is in the floodplain, and we put a different type of compound in this location to avoid the floodplain. Typically, we build 100 foot by 100 foot. We're building a 50 foot by 110 foot, so we can still add the tower and multiple carriers and avoid the floodplain. So that's the main reason why we pushed it into that corner of the property. As far as the height goes, the 60 feet, obviously you don't see many cell towers at 60 feet. If you shrink the tower any shorter, then Verizon's not going to be able to meet their coverage needs, and then you'll end up seeing somebody else show up here down the road asking for another tower nearby.
Okay, I didn't quite catch the base is different in how?
The compound itself, typically we fence in 100 feet by 100 feet, normal cell towers, 10,000 square feet. But due to the size of the property and the floodplain to the north, we had to shrink our normal compound to a 50 foot by 110 foot. That's the fenced in area that the tower sits in.
Okay, so it's just the tower. There's no structure there?
No, just the tower itself. Verizon does have a pad area. They just have a concrete pad where they put some outdoor equipment as well. But there's no actual prefabricated shelter. It's not manned. No.
I'd like to know if you got your neighbors to that piece of property there notified of what.
You get all the property notifications, the adjoining property notifications sent
Okay,
out.
and the only reason you're asking for that is because of the floodplain. I understand the floodplain. And I do know that anywhere that there's black spots, which I know they're all over the county, they're trying to fix it. And it's a given right for any citizen to have access to the internet and so forth.
Yeah, cell coverage is needed.
That's all I
especially
was
for-
wanting to know.
Especially for emergency 911 purposes as well, you have to be able to connect and have a
Absolutely.
phone call.
Absolutely.
So all the surrounding properties appears, is that mostly commercial around that?
They're on the northern portion of that Highway 46 is mostly commercial or industrial properties because we're zoned I-1.
That's considered in the comprehensive plan as the ag corridor all through that area. So there are a lot of businesses and a lot of agricultural businesses right there.
And right now, you're saying that's not being serviced well for the
Correct, yes, the engineers have definitely determined a
businesses.
dead zone in that area essentially.
Yeah.
Or you may have coverage, but you won't have good coverage, correct?
Yeah.
This is 46.
Uh-huh.
This is damn best of coverage. It's 360.
Uh-huh.
How does the 305 foot compare to traditional towers, like a lot of the ones that have been erected
290
recently?
to 3.
Is pretty standard.
It's standard, technically it's all give or take, you could have somebody that wants 150 foot, but typically the ones I've done recently is anywhere between 275 and 299. Technically, we're 299 top of steel, but we have a lightning rod that puts us at that 305.
Sure.
And we do have our FAA approval, they have approved us at that height.
So not relevant actually to your thing, but how long is the lease on that?
On the property itself, I believe it's a 50-year lease. So if it 50 years down the road, who's ever in charge of it at that point, they usually,
Oh, there'll be different telecommunications.
Oh,
yeah, you never know. You never know. One could hope that the
Any
technology
other
will
questions or
keep moving
concerns
forward.
from
fine.
anyone?
And the office has not had any feedback from adjoining property owners.
I had one gentleman come in, looked at the map, said he didn't see a problem with it, wasn't gonna affect his, wasn't gonna fall on his property. That's the only feedback I heard.
My understanding on these towers is in any event, I mean, I know that they're properly engineered, but they're typically self-collapsing is their technology that I understand, right? Or-
Essentially, yeah, tower itself is built into a 30-foot foundation, so you're gonna need an earthquake to almost spread that far open. And also it's 2-inch galvanized steel, so steel just doesn't break, it bends. So if anything, it'll twist and then you're just kind of hanging there. At that point, somebody will come out, take it apart, put up a temporary structure and then rebuild a new structure. Yeah, they bend, they don't break. They
And
won't
this-
tip over like a tree itself.
onto somebody.
Is this solely a cellular, or is there any other use for this, any other?
It's a cell phone tower being built for cell phone tower. They can building for other carriers as well. The tower company is marketing into AT&T, T-Mobile. You can also add, I've seen like fiber antennas added to it as well. You can put emergency service antennas, the whip antennas on them. So yeah.
Yeah, and if anyone would come in with a tower proposal, we ask them to look in the area and see if there's any towers available that could
Exactly.
help. Great.
Yeah, co-location is our
This area,
preferred route.
yeah.
It's a much quicker route, cheaper route.
Co-location all the way, yeah.
I
The nearest-
appreciate the fact you're using that land like that.
Yeah.
It isn't any good for anything else.
I think the nearest tower is in Bernie,
Uh-huh.
at about 3.5 miles away.
No other
Is
comments?
project value posted or is that even information that's shared?
What was that?
The project, estimated project cost, is something like that shared?
We share that, we provide that information at the building permit time. It's
Okay.
project cost is anywhere on a cell tower, especially at 300 foot. You're anywhere between 250 to 300,000 for just because steel price starts going up so
Just
high right now.
just curious.
They'll know that closer, and once we get the zoning approved, then they start ordering the steel materials, because then they have a pathway towards that. So yeah, that'll come.
And that's gone up considerably since I retired from AT&T 11 years ago.
Yeah.
The price of steel has skyrocketed to those towers.
That's a lot more.
Yeah, a 300-foot steel tower is.
That's big.
How many questions?
Okay, are we,
Questions from the audience?
questions from the audience? Any concerns or questions?
I love it. We need more cell service.
Yeah.
Motion.
Do I have anybody motion?
I make the motion that we vote on this ordinance today. All in favor, say aye. It's okay, you're doing super good.
Second motion. Carrie.
Carrie. And I'll read the votes. Paul Stone, yes. Joyce Brindley, yes. Janie Livingston, yes. And Gary Fisher, yes.
And so it's passed, sir, and I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, I hope my TV will.
TV on.
No, I'm not joking, I was. It glitches out every evening.
And that adjourns our meeting for this evening. Thank you very much. I think that goes.
Oh, wow.
All righty then.
I'm gonna take very much radio time.
No, it'll be an easy write-up.
I'm going with emergency stuff. And this is a lot of hours, you know, and you're overnight and you still haven't seen anybody. And but they don't want
Slow, isn't it?
Yep.
Brad's phone says 7, so we're gonna call a meeting to order. To comply with Title 6 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Decatur County requests that participants in the meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that is available on the table in the back of the room. With that being said, our agenda, approval of minutes held, or meeting held January 3rd, 2024. Move to approve.
Second.
First and second. Any comments?
I abstain. I wasn't here.
Noted. No other comments? All in favor, raise your right hand or say aye. Aye. Opposed? That's carried. That being said, move on down. APC petition 2024-2. Jeffrey Moore is requesting to rezone lot 67 in Cannes First Edition to the town of Westport from a R2 zoning classification to an R4 zoning classification to convert the existing dwelling into 3 attached dwellings. This request falls under Decatur County Ordinance Section number 1045. The property is owned by the petitioner, is located at 313 East Mulberry Street, Westport, in Sand Creek Township. Mr. Moore, if you want to take the podium, state your name and tell us what you're looking to do here.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Moore. I am taking the existing unit that is on that 313 East Mulberry. It's a big house, about 3,000 feet. We're breaking that up into 3 units, that particular house. And we've already done a lot of the outside stuff to it. And I went to the town of Westport, the town council, and talked to them about it. They got their approval. But the utilities, I think you probably got letters in front of you for that. I got their approval, and then I came here because that's the process. So that's what we're trying to get accomplished there. So it needs to go from an R2, which is currently zoned as an R2, which allows a duplex, from my understanding. But I need to go to an R4 to allow us another economy. Economy unit will be downstairs. So it's basically going from a huge single family unit to a 3 unit.
Questions or comments from the board members?
The R2, essentially, the only reason we're looking at the R4 is because it's basically considered the apartment with 3.
That's correct. Yeah. So because I'm adding about 700 square foot economy unit. I mean, it's already there. It's all in the room. I'm just dividing it.
And the 3, though, is our border, because if you were to go to 4, then you're looking at a totally different
That's correct.
commercial
That's correct.
level.
So the way I understand, I've actually done quite a bit of this, the way I understand that, if it was 4 under one roof, then I need to go to commercial.
Yeah, with or state,
That's correct.
a state permit as opposed to just the local.
That's correct.
Do you have enough parking for?
Yes, so there's 3 spots in the front, there's 3 spots in the back, and if I ever need more, I actually own the lot beside that. I can add there if I needed to.
Like the town of Westport's fine with it.
There's just a few things that, you know, that firewalls and stuff will have to be in place if
Yeah.
you don't know.
Yeah.
Kenny should be able to share that with you, the building inspector. But when you go over 2, you gotta have firewalls all the way to the roof deck.
Okay,
So you might do some research on that, just so you don't have to go backwards.
sure,
Just giving you some advice there.
sure.
Any other questions or comments from board members? Not hearing any, I'll ask from any, from neighbors or from the audience. Not hearing any, one last call. I will look for a motion.
I make a motion for approval of APC petition 2024-2.
I will second the motion for 2024-2.
Have a first and a second.
I'll read the votes. Jay Shetmer, yes. Brad Shooty, yes. Brian Kennelly, yes. Tom Cherry, yes. Todd Mauer, yes. Paul Stone, yes. Tom Hunter, yes. Sheila Kirkhoff, yes.
Your motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Unless somebody else has something, that's the only other thing on the agenda. I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Who so moved?
Paul
Paul and
and Brad second. We are adjourned.